We're back. Football's back. And Cam Heyward is back with the Steelers. He was going to play anyway, but now we know he's going to be around a little bit longer than just this season. There's all the talks about him potentially holding out this year. He wanted a new contract. Doesn't go to OTAs, so that was a little bit part of the holdout, but then he ends up showing up to training camp, says he still wants a deal. Him showing up to training camp and actually participating didn't really help his leverage. He did say he, for sure, no matter what, whether he was a Steeler or not, wanted to play at least 2 more seasons after his contract was up, so 3 more years in the league. So we just didn't know exactly how this all was going to look, how this was all going to play out, especially since the Steelers don't do contracts. They don't do negotiations once the season officially starts. So we're like, man, what, 2 days away from the Thursday night football game, 4 or 5 days away from the Steelers playing their week 1 game against the Falcons, and still no contract was done with Cam Heyward until literally like an hour ago. Signs a 3-year extension. Here's the details. Shout out to Cam Heyward too, man. Like this, he deserves this. He's always meant to be a Steeler for life. 6-time Pro Bowl defensive end Cam Heyward and the Pittsburgh Steelers have agreed to a 3-year, $45 million deal that includes $29 million in new money and $16 million fully guaranteed. Heyward, 35, who had $16 million left on the final year of his previous deal, is now under contract through 2026, allowing a longtime captain to retire Steeler. His signing bonus is nearly $15 million. And then we have down below Cam Heyward responding to his contract extension. Says how unlikely, yet here we are. Picture of him with the contract and a picture of him with the contract and the Steelers GM, Omar Khan. Happy faces all around. And his caption, how unlikely, I guess you'd have to be plugged into the Steelers sphere over the last several days, or not even several days, I guess just yesterday, because there was a report that came out from a Steelers beat reporter that said Cam Heyward and Steelers contract extension is very unlikely to happen. So Cam responds, says, how unlikely? Yet here we are. Thanks. Good for Cam, man. Good for Cam. Additional notes for this contract. I don't have the graphic for it, but I do have this saved in my notes here. The $45 million deal that Cam just signed, and with the length being 3 years, saves the team more than $9 million against the salary cap this year. That's because they converted $16 million of the salary this year into a signing bonus. That's per Jerry Dulac, Steelers beat reporter. I guess that's good for us now. It saves us $9 million. What are we going to do with that $9 million, though? That's the question. Does that mean we have a potential dead cap charge for Cam for next year? Probably. I mean, that's probably what's going to happen with this extension and everything. But I mean, if we're not going to do anything with the added $9 million freed up in our salary cap, then what's the point? I'd rather have more leverage after this season with Cam and his rights and everything, as opposed to just saving money and not doing anything with it. You know what I mean? So that'll be interesting. Is there a receiver move that's on the horizon here? A cornerback move that's on the horizon? Those are the 2 positions we've talked about ad nauseum all offseason. Are we going to upgrade them, or are we going to add to the rooms? Obviously, we didn't get Ayuk. Dude bailed on us. Obviously, we haven't brought in a cornerback either. We're rocking with Beanie Bishop and Jalen Elliott as our slot guys, as our last couple cornerbacks on this roster. So who knows? Who knows? In addition to, I guess, that Jerry Dulac report right there, that means Cam will have a $14 million base salary in 2025 and a $15 million base salary in 2026. So there you go. There's all the information we have thus far on the contract extension. My initial reaction, though, man, I don't mind this. I think it's a good move. I think it's good for Cam. Like, I'm pumped for Cam. Like, the Steeler fan in you, the storybook ending type of thing you like to see from the players on your team. Like, this makes sense. This all goes in line with that because Cam Heyward was always meant to be a Steeler for life. I think he's on par with the Jerome Bettises, the Hines Wards, those type of guys. It's just he's missing the hardware up to this point. And for Jerome, he was missing the hardware too up until his very last season. So who's to say Cam Heyward can't bookend his career with a Super Bowl or two here in the midst of this contract extension within these next 3 years that he'll be on the Steelers. So, like, I think it's just a feel-good story. It's just like a feel-good thing. But I also feel like from like an on-the-field standpoint, from a business standpoint, this is good too. The contract extension I would have been uneasy with is a number that would have been way higher than 3 years, $45 million. Because Cam was talking about, obviously, he wants to play 3 more years in the league, 2 more once his contract's done. But he also wants to get paid top dollar. He wants to get paid like he's a top 5 defensive tackle in this league. And I get why he feels that way because outside of last year, he was putting up top 5 numbers. Actually, I'd say outside of Aaron Donald, he was number 2 for a good like 5-6 year stretch. Now, last year, yeah, he had a little bit of a downtick. He also was injured. So I think going into this year, yeah, maybe he's in like that top 5, top 6 range. But he is getting a little bit older. So like that's why like a 3-year deal, and you're talking about like that top 5 defensive tackle type of money, a 3-year extension with his age being 35, 36, 37, when the contract's over at 38, that would have been a lot to ask for if you're the Steelers. Like how are you going to age with this contract? Cam, you've done really good up to this point. You've aged like fine wine from your last deal. I was a little hesitant on his last deal. We were paying him, I think it was like $16 million per year with that. And that was what? Did we give him that contract like 2019, 2020, just right when he turned 30? And to Cam's credit, he outplayed that contract. Actually, we got him at a discount for how he played over the course of his last deal. But, I mean, Father Time's undefeated. So if you're talking about another deal going into your late 30s, how can the Steelers feel great about you keeping up that level of play for that long? Now, for this year, being a top 5 guy, I don't think it's out of question. But for age 36, age 37, age 38, it's like, man, that's a lot to ask for. And to get a deal where you're on the books then for top 5 money and all those like consequential years, it's a lot, man. I don't think that's like the greatest of business if you're an organization, if you're the Steelers. Paying a 36, a 37, 38-year-old defensive tackle top 5 money, like 20, because top 5 money, we're talking like 25 million per year, 24, 25, 26 million per year. Man. But we get this. We get 3 years, 45 million. I thought it was going to have to be in the 20s. 3 years, 45 million at 15 per. I could live with that all day. I think that's a great contract. I think that's great for all sides. Maybe even a little bit better for the Steelers side of things with us being able to save the $9 million on the salary cap this year. I mean, we might have a little bit of a dead cap charge for 2025, but I don't think it would be anything egregious that we couldn't get out of if Cam's play takes a slip. And then, yeah, 2026, we wouldn't even have to worry about that. So I think this is a good deal, man. I think this is a good deal, both parties. Let me pull up the details again real quick because I want to read over this again. $45 million deal includes $29 million in new money, $16 million fully guaranteed. Who had $16 million left on the final year of his previous deal is now under contract through 2026. Signing bonus is nearly $15 million. So from what I'm reading with this is we got Cam Heyward on the books for another 3 years. We save money on his contract this year by converting the guaranteed money. but his base salary and his cap charges for 2025 and 2026 aren't going to be anything egregious that we can't get out of. But Cam gets just a little bit of extra money with this extension in his pocket, a little bit of extra security. But the Steelers have their flexibility as well. It seems like a win-win for everyone. I think this is a great, like, if I'm the Steelers and Omar Khan, I think this is an excellent deal. Excellent deal. Now, if Cam was dead set, obviously he wasn't dead set because he agreed to this 3-year, $45 million deal. But if he was really, really wanting that top 5 defensive tackle type of money, then yeah, he had to make some concessions with this deal right here. For the Steelers, I don't really think you had to make any concessions. I think this is a fair number for Cam at this stage of his career. You have flexibility. You're not locked into him to 2026. Like on paper you are. Like it looks good and everything, but you can get out of the contract if you need to. I like the deal, man. And Cam Heyward is going to be a Steeler for life. You get the feel-good aspect of it where Cam, Steelers, he's going to be wearing that jersey until he retires. Going to be a one-helmet type of guy. You're not going to see Pro Football Reference his last year or two being on the Jaguars or the Seahawks or some random team. So you get the good, feel-good side of this. And then I think just from a business and a football standpoint, it all adds up too. I'm loving the move. You got Cam Heyward happy going into the season. A season where we're thinking, we got a chance, man. I know a lot of the national media, a lot of the people around the league and stuff outside of Pittsburgh aren't thinking too highly of the Steelers, but our defense is going to be loaded. That D-line, that front seven, D-line, front seven linebackers, man, I mean, I'd put us up there with anyone in the league. And you got a JPJ coming into his own as a franchise cornerback, Minka Fitzpatrick. We got the best safety in the league, ball hawking out there. Dante Jackson, don't forget him. A solid cornerback number 2. Like, that defense is loaded. That defense should be top 5 as long as we stay healthy. And then on offense, we should have an uptick from what we saw the majority last year, right? Now with Mason and what we were doing those last 2-3 games, that's different. Like, the offense was looking good. If we could just replicate what we were doing with Mason at the helm, we're going to be a really, really good team. And I don't see why we can't do that. Like, I don't see why we can't. Upgraded offensive coordinator, Russell Wilson, running backs, solid. Upgraded offensive line. Even though we are young and we got some injuries, I think they are going to be much improved. When we're talking about middle of the season towards the end of the season. George Pickens, year 3. Yeah, wide receiver 2. The depth receivers got some question marks, but I think with the new offensive coordinator, all the other new weapons, the new pieces we got on offense, there's no reason why we shouldn't see an improvement from this offense. Combine that with a top 5 defense, I think we're going to be dangerous. But all I'm saying is, like, we got our leader, our veteran guy, the most veteran guy on this team, and Cam Heyward coming into this season where we're all in. We're feeling really good about the vibes and what we could be and potentially be contenders. We got that guy not only healthy, but he's happy with his new deal and everything. Like, that counts for something too. I would have tacked on an extra like $2 or $3 million just for the vibes portion of this, just to make sure Cam's happy going into this 2024 season. We could have made this 3 years, $48 million, but Omar Khan's a shark, man. Omar Khan don't mess around. What's up? Who's here? What's good with the chat, man? Thanks for stopping through. I might do a little question here. Can we do this? Let me know if this pops up. Was the Cam Heyward deal a good move, a good signing? Or is that too easy? Will the Cam Heyward deal age well? How about that? Will the Steelers regret the Cam Heyward contract? How should we phrase this? I think I like the age one. Will Will the Cam Heyward contract extension age well? How about that? Simple responses. Yes. No. This work? You guys see it? Did the question pop up? Let me see your reaction to that. Lord Dre 10 says, I'm glad he's staying and he's happy. He's just been a liability, bro. Like, what? I mean, I wouldn't even say he was a liability last year. He was just hurt. He was hurt for half the season. He comes back. He's not the Cam Heyward of old, but he's not like a liability. He's not killing us. And then the last 4 or 5 games, he went back to vintage Cam. So it was a weird season for him because of his unavailability and him having to knock the rust off from the injury. But I don't think he was like a liability for us last year. Lord Dre 10 says, that's what I mean by injury. Okay. Tony Brown 8486 says, last season scares me because he only played 6 games. Just has to stay healthy with his age. Was it really only 6 games? I thought he played half the season. Was it 6 games? He was out that long. I thought it was half. Or maybe I'm thinking TJ, when TJ was out for Kenny's rookie year, it was literally half the season because he came back at the bye. Man, was he really out? So he was out 11 games last year? Well, I guess technically he played week 1. So was it 10 with Cam? Was it Cam out 10 games? IK8888 says, nope, even if he doesn't perform to the price, he's adding value coaching up Keanu Benton. Really good point. And that's what I was saying earlier. I can't remember if I said it on this stream, earlier on this stream, but I've said it before, that Cam could be like the Jerome Bettis for this defense, like the Jerome Bettis of like those early 2000 teams, and like how he was a leader on the offense. Even though he wasn't prime Bettis, he still had impact. He still had that veteran and leadership value. But he had like a niche too. Like Bettis had a little niche where he was our goal line back. He made a Pro Bowl in 2004 in Ben's rookie year. It's not like he wasn't doing anything. Now, his last year, yeah, he only had like 300 yards, but he had 10 touchdowns at the goal line. So if Cam could just be a part of a 3 or 4 man rotation on the D line for the last 2 years and coach up a Keanu Benton and a DeMarvin Leal, then that even adds value to Cam being here. Like Cam being here, like adds value to the Steelers. It just, it makes sense as to why we're keeping him around. Tony Brown 8486 says, brings heart to the team. Great for the locker room. Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I also think it just adds to the reasons why this is a good deal. Because I think he can still play. I think he's still gonna play up to the contract. In fact, here's how I'll explain how I think this contract's gonna age. I think he's gonna actually outplay his deal this year. I think he's gonna give us top 5 defensive tackle type of play out there on Sundays. So he's going to outplay the contract. Like his play this year is going to be deserving of 20 plus million. Next year, let's say the base is 15 or the cap hit's 15. I think it'll be equal to what the contract is. The play will be equal to the contract number. And then for the last year, maybe we're overpaying a little bit. Maybe. But if the Steelers want to, they could probably get out of the contract. They could do some, if they want Cam back for that last year, but they don't think he's the player that he once was, but they still want him around for the locker room, get some snaps here and there. Then they could add some voided years, do some type of finagling, do an extra contract extension, but there's no dead cap hit. Omar Khan could figure that out, right? I think that's how it's going to play out. So maybe his last year, this deal, if he's still around, are we overpaying a little bit? But we could finagle the numbers. We could work around. It's not going to be the end of the world because at that point the salary cap's going to go up. And like if we're talking about Cam Heyward being here at 37 years old on a $14 million cap hit or $15 million. That's not going to be that bad. It's really not. And who knows? Maybe he ages out well, man. Maybe he just outplays the whole contract or the majority of the contract. It's not like it hasn't been done before with defensive tackles. Like those dudes, some of those dudes can play into their 40s and still have impact. It's been done before. The question is with Cam, like this is the first bump in the road with Cam where he's not been available like he traditionally has. He's missed a good portion of the season. And we're sitting here just wondering what it's going to look like going forward because of his age and because this is the first time we've seen him injured for an extended period of time like this and take a little bit of a downtick in production. Whereas ever since he's been in the league, he's been going up in his play, in his production. And then we get him in his prime for a good 7-8 year stretch where, wow, this is really consistent. We know what to expect from Cam. And then even on the back end of that prime, we're getting to see stuff from Cam that we didn't even see from him in his late 20s when you're really supposed to be in your prime. Like he had this second win, this second stage where he even bumped it up another level. Like that 2020 season, 2021 season, 2022, he was awesome, man. He was awesome. He outplayed that contract that we gave him. T. Jarvis 88 says he's the 20th highest paid defensive tackle and he's still a top 10 defensive tackle in the league. So that goes to my point. I think he's going to outplay the contract for this year for sure. Because top 10, that might even be a little disrespectful in a way. I still view him as top 5, top 6. And that's even coming off of that down year that he had. Because after you go through those top 5 or 6 guys, there's really not much else. You got a bunch of dudes in their prime like Quinnen Williams, a Jeffrey Simmons, Chris Jones. Aaron Donald's not here anymore. Christian Wilkins. After you get past them, it's just who are we really taking over Cam like that? GB 1974 says seeing him in another team's jersey will be crazy. Yeah. Yeah, that would have been stupid. Troy Polamalu, another Steeler. That only rocked the jersey. Only rocked the black and gold for his NFL career. Big Ben, obviously. But yeah, Cam Heyward's he's in that class, man. It's meant to be. You shouldn't be on any other squad. I'm glad the Steelers took care of it. I'm glad he took care of it by agreeing to this deal. It's just how it's supposed to be. All right, the poll results for the question. Will Cam Heyward's contract... Hold on. What question did I even put here? I can't even read it. I think it was, will Cam Heyward's contract extension age well? 71% of you say yes. 29% of you say no. That sounds about right. You can't have 100% on a question like that. Yeah, I wouldn't expect 100%. Because there's Cam doubters. I think there's people that think we should have already moved on. I think he'll play good this year. Yeah, the question is, what does it look like year 2 of this contract, year 3 of this contract? I don't doubt that Cam's going to be vintage Cam this season, for sure. Lord Dre 10 brings up Dexter Lawrence, Derek Brown in the mix for top defensive tackles in the league. You guys got anything else on this Heyward extension? Any other takes? Any angle, any perspective that I'm missing here? I think it's a good move. Happy that the deal got done. Now what happens with Muth? He's the other guy that we were talking about potentially getting a contract extension. We still got time. 2 days away from week 1 of the NFL. And I don't know if the Steelers will do the contract talks past week 1 starting for the whole league. And their deadline will be when the Steelers actually play their game. So we'll see. I don't know if it's going to be 4 or 5 days or if it's going to be just these 2 days before the Chiefs and Baltimore kick off on Thursday night. Not exactly sure what their deadline is. I know it's before the season starts, though. I know it's before week 1. I don't know if it's the Steelers week 1 or if it's the league week 1. Kevin G says, I vote no because his age in year 2 or 3, but hearing some of the logic you guys said, I'd change it to yes. That's the thing. Like, if he isn't playing up to the contract in year 3, but outplays it in year 1 and year 2, I think you win on that deal. I think it's a good deal then. You won the majority of the contract. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. I think he's going to outplay the majority of the contract. However you want to spin it, and you want to throw in some of the intangible stuff he brings to the table with the leadership, oldest tenured Steeler being here, all that stuff. I think it's going to be worth it. GB 1974 says, if we sign Muth to an extension, let's use him. He needs 6 to 8 targets a game. Yeah, I guess the number with him is going to be the question. You see with this deal and most of the deals that Omar Khan does, there's no like just giving out money willy-nilly. He makes sure that the Steelers get every penny. So market value for Muth, he's probably in the teens, but his play up to this point, I could see why the Steelers wouldn't want to pay that. Now, I think his potential is even better than some of these tight ends out there getting paid like 13, 14, 15 million, like a Dawson Knox. But has he proven that up to this point? Yeah, I think from a receiving standpoint, for sure. I think he's been better than a Dawson Knox, particularly in his year 2 where he had like 700 yards. But to be a complete tight end, you got to get better at blocking. So I could see why the Steelers would want to offer him something under 10 per year, but I could see why Muth would want to bet on himself going into this 4th year with a new quarterback and a new system and everything, and saying like, you know what? I think I'm going to outplay that whatever $9 million, $8 million you guys are offering me. Let me bet on myself, and then we'll take it to market next year. Because all he needs is like 600-700 yards, 8-9 touchdowns, and you're getting something in like the $15 million range. Yeah, that'll be interesting. We'll see if Muth gets his deal. But obviously, I like this Cam deal. Obviously, I do. I've been saying it pretty much throughout the whole stream here. A lot of reasons why. And now we just got, outside of this Muth extension, now we just got ball to worry about for week 1, or at least heading into week 1. Steelers versus Falcons. But hope you guys enjoy, man. Thanks for stopping through. Stay chilling. I will be back tomorrow, 4 o'clock. We are going to talk week 1 for sure. We'll do a little maybe Steelers-Falcons preview, but we'll also talk season predictions. Maybe we'll go over like stat line predictions for each player on offense, defense, or at least the key players on Steelers offense, defense, do over, under, something like that. We'll do something fun. But enjoy the rest of your night, guys. Thanks for stopping through. Here we go, Steelers. Peace.